The Doom of Valyria, the catastrophic event that wiped out one of the greatest empires the world had ever seen, has left a mark on history. But what if it wasn't just a natural disaster? What if the Maesters, those seemingly neutral scholars of Westeros, had a hand in the fall of Valyria? Today we explore a theory that's both intriguing and chilling, the possibility that the Maesters secretly orchestrated the doom of Valyria. Could it have been the Maesters' disdain for magic, their knowledge of Valyrian steel, and their secret dealings with powerful families like the Lannisters that led to the destruction of Valyria? In this video, we'll dive into the origins of the Faceless Men, the prophecy surrounding Valyria's downfall, and how the Maesters, working behind the scenes, might have used all of these factors to bring about the cataclysmic event. Stay with us as we uncover the secret history behind the Maesters and the doom of Valyria. Before we understand how the Maesters were related to the destruction of Valyria, we need to consider another possible key player, the Faceless Men. The Faceless Men's origins are tied to the oppressed slaves of Valyria. Arya Stark's training in the House of Black and White provides us with glimpses of their beginnings. The first faceless man, a slave working in the Valyrian mines, witnessed the suffering of his fellow slaves and their desperate prayers for release. Believing it to be an act of mercy, he granted the first gift of death to one of the suffering slaves. The first faceless man's actions set off a chain of events, but it wasn't until another slave offered his own life in exchange for the death of his master that the second faceless man was born. This pivotal moment marked the beginning of their dark philosophy. Death is a gift for both the suffering and the wicked. From there, the Faceless Men's path led them to kill not just the Masters, but those in power who upheld the Valyrian order. Arya, curious about the logic behind their actions, once asked the kindly man why the first faceless man chose to kill slaves before the Masters. The kindly man answered simply, the slaves were many and the Masters few. This pragmatic approach to death reveals the Faceless Men's early understanding of balance, punishing those who exploited the weak while also delivering mercy. The Faceless Men's growing influence led them to target the Valyrian aristocracy, their hatred fueled by the Empire's oppressive ways. It is theorized that the Faceless Men, using their deep knowledge of death and fire, may have been instrumental in the doom of Valyria, eliminating key figures such as the Fire Mages, who maintained the Empire's volcanic power. These acts of vengeance could have been what ultimately set the stage for Valyria's destruction. This all makes sense after all, but why would the Faceless Men accept such a task? The answer might lie in the prophecy of Casterly Rock, which some believe foreshadowed the doom of Valyria. There exists an ancient prophecy that suggests the gold of Casterly Rock, home of the Lannisters, would be the source of Valyria's downfall. The details are unclear, but it implies that House Lannister's wealth, tied to the treasure of Casterly Rock, might have been a contributing factor to the doom. But what does this prophecy have to do with the Maesters? To understand that, we need to examine the Lannisters' ambition and their link to Valyria. During House Lannister's early history, they sought to acquire a Valyrian steel sword, a symbol of power and status. When the Valyrians refused to sell, many believed this was connected to the prophecy, as the Lannisters possessing such a weapon could have shifted the balance of power. But where did the Lannisters acquire their famed Valyrian steel sword, Brightraw? It is theorized that it wasn't the Valyrians who provided the Lannisters with Brightraw, but rather the Maesters of the Citadel. Though the Maesters publicly distanced themselves from magic, they possessed secret knowledge of Valyrian metallurgy. The Maesters crafted the links of Valyrian steel used in their chains, and it's believed that they may have used this same knowledge to forge or procure Brightraw for House Lannister. The links of Valyrian steel that the Maesters wear are highly prized and nearly impossible to replicate. This ancient craft, passed down through secret knowledge, is thought to be tied to the forging of weapons like Brightraw. The Maesters, who maintained control over knowledge and power, may have used their expertise in metallurgy to facilitate the Lannisters' acquisition of a symbol of Valyrian power. But why? Here's where things get even more intriguing. The Lannisters allegedly paid a massive sum of gold for Brightraw, enough to raise an entire army. What if this gold didn't just go towards acquiring the sword, but was secretly used to fund something far darker? Some theories suggest that the Maesters, knowing they had to eliminate potential threats to their control over the ancient knowledge of Valyria, hired the Faceless Men. The Faceless Men, experts in assassination, may have been used to eliminate the fire mages and others who could have interfered with the Maesters' plans, setting the stage for the doom of Valyria itself. As we start to see, the events surrounding the doom of Valyria and the Maesters' secret influence all tie together, but what about Braavos? Braavos, the greatest of the free cities, was founded by a group of slaves who had escaped from the collapsing Valyrian Empire. These slaves found refuge in an isolated lagoon, far from the reach of Valyria's oppressive power. Braavos was born from defiance, a symbol of freedom and a sanctuary for those fleeing tyranny. The House of Black and White, the centre of the Faceless Men, stood as more than just a religious structure. It symbolised Braavos' rejection of the Valyrian Empire, serving as both a political and philosophical foundation for the city. The Faceless Men, who arose from the minds of Valyria, embodied a hatred for everything Valyrian. Their presence in Braavos solidified the city's commitment to death as balance and justice. The Faceless Men's origin in Valyria, where they killed slave masters before turning on the Valyrian rulers, was a reflection of Braavos' Anti-Valyrian ideology. Their mission of balance through death aligned perfectly with the city's founding principles. Their connection to Braavos and its rejection of Valyria's legacy made them key players in the city's growth, as they became both political enforcers and merciless assassins. Even after Valyria's fall, Braavos maintained its deep distrust of anything connected to the Targaryens, the last of the Valyrian bloodlines. As Aegon the Conqueror began his campaign to unite Westeros, Braavos covertly supported resistance efforts against the Targaryens, perhaps even through the use of the Faceless Men. The Iron Bank of Braavos, a powerful financial institution, provided funds to those who resisted the Targaryen advance, further cementing Braavos' role as a staunch opponent of Valyrian rule. Braavos became a haven for those fleeing Valyrian and Targaryen oppression. Its strategic location, wealth, and independence allowed it to thrive, continuing its legacy of resistance. The House of Black and White remained a symbol of its anti-Valyrian stance, a constant reminder of Braavos' commitment to freedom from the powers that had once ruled the world. As we continue to unravel the mystery behind the Doom, it's time to consider another crucial aspect, the volcanic power that fueled the Valyrian Empire. Valyria was a land of unmatched power, much of it drawn from the volcanoes that dominated the landscape. The Valyrians harnessed this volatile energy, using the molten lava to forge Valyrian steel, cast spells, and advance their empire. To control this power, they relied on a specialized group of fire mages. These fire mages wielded incredible magic, capable of controlling the eruptions that constantly threatened the Empire's stability. Without their control, the volcanoes could easily have destroyed entire cities or the entire Valyrian freehold itself. The mages kept the land safe, tapping into the raw energy of the volcanoes to fuel their advanced technologies. It is believed by some that the Faceless Men, born from the horrors of Valyria, saw the fire mages as key figures who upheld the oppressive power of the Valyrian rulers. Using their unique skills in assassination, the Faceless Men may have targeted these mages, eliminating them to cause chaos. Without the mages to control the volcanoes, Valyria's volcanoes erupted in an uncontrollable fury, triggering the Doom. The Doom wasn't just an accident, it was an orchestrated series of events, beginning with the assassination of the fire mages. Their deaths triggered the eruptions, which destroyed Valyria in a cataclysmic event. This was no random disaster. It was an act of vengeance and justice carried out by the Faceless Men who sought to dismantle the empire that had oppressed them. While the doom of Valyria marked the fall of the Valyrian Empire, the Maesters' long-standing war against magic didn't end there. Their next target, the dragons. After the fall of Valyria, the Maesters set their sights on the dragons. They viewed these ancient creatures as a dangerous force that could bring about the return of Valyrian power. The Maesters' efforts to eradicate dragons culminated during the Dance of the Dragons, the brutal Targaryen civil war. Though the dragons were nearly wiped out during this time, it wasn't just the civil strife that led to their extinction. Under the reign of King Aegon III, Maester Munkun became a key figure in the extinction of the dragons. By the end of his reign, all the remaining dragons were dead, marking the final chapter in the Targaryen dragon story. Though it's unclear how much of this was a deliberate Maester plot, their influence over the realm during Aegon III's reign ensured that dragons did not return. The Maester's role in the death of the dragons is a topic we'll explore further in the future, but it's clear that their efforts to suppress magic didn't end with the fall of Valyria. They continued through their war against the dragons, determined to erase any trace of the magical power that once ruled the world. And so, we've uncovered the hidden history behind the doom of Valyria, exploring the secret role that the Maesters may have played in orchestrating the fall of one of the greatest empires the world has ever known. From their covert dealings with the Lannisters and the Faceless Men to their long-standing war against magic, the Maesters' influence is far-reaching and mysterious. The question remains, were they simply acting out of a fear of magic, or was there something deeper at play? As we continue to explore the secrets of Westeros, one thing is clear: the Maesters have always had more power than they let on. Thanks for watching, and be sure to join us for future videos where we'll dive deeper into the hidden histories of Westeros. See you next time!